I decided to take 3 attempts to draw my favorite athlete, Carmelo Anthony, while connecting it to my journey with basketball and how it has impacted my life. As you can see, my first sketch turned out pretty rough as I freehanded the whole picture. This attempt at drawing relates to my early years in basketball in the 3rd through 6th grade. During this time, I became immersed in the game with daily practice, skill work, and during my free time each night, I would watch my favorite team play. As I watched the players on TV, I would hurry over to my mini hoop and try to emulate their moves. Many of times I would miss the shot, dribble off my foot, break a picture, and even dent the occasional wall from falling over. I took these years to learn from my coaches, teammates, and the other players I watched on TV. Hard work was never brought into question as I made sure to leave everything I had out on the floor before the final buzzer sounded, practice, or workout ended. Also, during this time, I knew I had to be patient with my development and not try to get ahead of myself. There would be many of times where my friends, teammates, or opponents would be better than me, but I knew that I was in it for the long haul. This mindset of mine relates to that of Lucas Pasquale's Don't Panic and A Hitchhiker's Guide to My Literacy. As he dealt with many obstacles throughout his journey to becoming the successful writer and reader he is today, he never let that faze him, and he stayed calm as I did in my journey to finding success in basketball. My second sketch can relate to the huge chunk of time during my 7th through 10th grade years, as I attempted to trace the picture. For this picture, I felt myself rushing and leaving out minor details to ultimately create my perfect drawing. Much like my drawing, during these years of advancing my game, I found myself doing the exact same thing. I always wanted more and never understood why I would spend twice the time practicing as everyone I knew, but still they were better than me. This would set me to work even harder, but oftentimes neglect minor details of my skill development and overall game, causing my progression to slow. For example, when shooting, I would no longer hold my form and miss shots, which would mean I would be in the gym longer. Or when lifting, I would not do workouts tailored for basketball players, causing me to tighten up and not be as flexible as I needed to be. Also, during this time, although the work I was putting in wasn't the smartest, it definitely did help me improve and begin to pass others in talent. My friends or opponents who would be used to beating me by this time would end up losing and wonder what was happening. All I did was laugh, talk some trash, and move forward with my progression. In my final sketch, I decided to spend a great deal of time on the minor details and making it look as best as I could. I am not an artist by any stretch of the imagination, but for me, this is pretty good. My final sketch really sums up my time from 11th grade until now, and the key to improving my skill and final sketch was attention to detail. As I shaded lines in different areas of the picture, in basketball I removed a hitch from my shooting form, got with a personal trainer that designed workouts custom for my body type, play style, and sport, and I completely changed my eating and sleeping habits. These few changes helped me take my game to another level. Instead of rushing my shots, not holding my form, and shooting from too high of a release point, I did the complete opposite. I researched the best shooting coaches in the area and found Duquesne's Micah Mason. He's the 6th best three-point shooter in NCAA Division I history. Micah helped me emphasize the importance of holding my follow-through, lowering my release point, and keeping my elbow above my eye following each shot to give the ball an easier angle to go into the hoop. After fixing my shooting form, my high school coach recommended that I start lifting and meal planning with local trainer Brian Arndt. Brian is a former 4-star tight end and defensive end and a 3-year starter at Boston College. Brian helped me not only put on over 40 pounds of muscle in 2 years, but also taught me the importance of healthy eating and sleeping habits. After completely revamping my diet, sleep, and shooting habits were good, my hard work finally began to show. I finished my senior season averaging 28.8 points, 14.4 rebounds, and 8.1 assists per game, while being named the 2A Player of the Year and to the All-State team. In my early years, I spent my time experimenting with the game, trying everything and anything I could physically attempt. This can relate to Anne Lamont's quote in Shitty Rough Drafts about the child's first draft. The first draft is a child's draft, where you let it all pour out, let it all romp all over the place, knowing that no one is going to see it and that you can shape it later. I often found myself romping all over the place when I was attempting to practice and improve my game, but ultimately knew that this was a long process to achieve success in the sport. Then I knew that it was okay to try everything possible and spill as much of what I learned out onto the court. My ultimate goal was to play basketball in college, just like anyone else's goal in writing a paper is to produce a good final draft. Both take a lot of time and require a lot of effort. As I spilled random concepts, moves, and shooting forms out into the court in my early years, writers spill countless ideas onto their first drafts. With these moves and ideas, writers and myself know that to achieve your goal, plenty of revision is required. In closing, I drew these pictures to mirror my journey with basketball and how it impacted my life.